Good morning, all my dear students. I welcome you all for the history lecture. Today, we are going to continue with our chapter number 2, that is Europe and India. In our previous lecture, we have already started this lesson and we have completed few points, that is period of Renaissance, religious reform movement, geographical discoveries. So students, this chapter covers the events that had taken place in Europe during the 13th to 18th century. It states why period was called as the age of Renaissance and different revolutions that had taken place on the basis of religion, intellectual and political sphere. It also provides us information about a reason of rise in trading company and the policies used to protect trade between the nations. Today we are going to study which are the different revolutions happen in a different field. First, we have already studied about the religion. Today we are going to study the intellectual revolution in Europe. The word intellectual means related to the mind. Due to the changes during the Renaissance period, Europe proceeded from medieval age to modern age. Intellectual revolution took place in the same period. So in that period only, the intellectual revolution also took place when Europe was proceeding from medieval age to the modern age. The society starts stepping out of the past ignorance and blind faith. Okay, so society then started thinking and they leave everything behind the blind faith and the past ignorance. The pre-established customs and tradition came to be seen from a critical point of view. So now whatever the pre-established means before, whatever the before established customs were there, traditions were there, to all those tradition, to all those customs, they started thinking or they started looking at that particular custom or the tradition in a critical way. Okay, critical means carefully they started finding out what is the reason behind this custom, what is the tradition, or why we are celebrating this, what is the need of that. Okay, so critically they started looking all those customs and tradition in a critical point of view. All these changes are addressed as intellectual revolution, which gave further momentum to scientific discoveries in Europe. And whatever changes happened because of this, and they all are known as the intellectual revolution. And because of this revelation or because of this intellectual revolution, it gave further momentum. Momentum is important to the scientific discoveries in Europe. Now next we are going to study that is revolution in a political sphere. As I said, first we have studied about the religion, second one is intellectual, now third one we are going to study that is in a political sphere. In the early stage of beginning of modern period in Europe, many political changes take place. So as we have seen in intellectual revolution, Europe was proceeding from medieval age to the modern age. So at the beginning of the modern period in Europe, many political changes took place. Due to the various revolutionary events during 18th as well as 19th century, this period is known as the Age of Revolution, as many revelations happened during this period, and because of this it is known as the Age of Revolution. Revolution means changes, we can say. So during this period, there was a development of parliamentary democracy in England. So there are two types of government, that is parliamentary government and the presidential government. So if you are going to talk about India, India has adopted the parliamentary system of government. And if you are going to see the history of this, then we will come to know when the Britishers, when they were ruling our country, that time also they were following the parliamentary system of government. Okay, and when it was started the parliamentary form of government during this period, during the 18th and the 19th century. Okay, so during this period there was a development of parliamentary democracy in England. There was a change in the form of cabinet system. The Bill of Rights 1689 led the limitation on the power of the king. The sovereignty of parliament was established. The word sovereignty means supreme power or authority or the self-government. Okay, the self-government of parliament was established. So all those changes happened in the political sphere in Europe during 19th century. Now we are going to move to the very important, that is American War of Independence. With the background of revolutionary development in Europe, it is equally important to think about the American War of Independence. As we are talking about the revolutionary or the changes happen in the development of Europe, it is equally important that we should think about the American War of Independence. With the discovery of America, as we all know, who discovered the America? In the year 1492 AD, Christopher Columbus, he discovered the America. With the discovery of America, the European countries turned their attention towards this continent. The imperialist European countries took control of different regions of America and established their colonies. So when they discovered America, that time the European countries, they turned their attention towards America and they established their colonies in America. England established 13 colonies on the east coast of America. Initially, England had nominal domination over these colonies, but later English Parliament laid oppressive restrictions and taxes on these American colonies. So first what happened? They established the colonies. How many colonies they established? 13 colonies they established. First, England, they had only nominal domination. For the namesake, they were dominating those colonies. But after that, they started using oppressive restrictions, or the word oppressive means strict or the hard, and taxes on this American colonies. So they started using oppressive or the strict restrictions and the taxes on this American colonies. The people in America revolted against it. As we all know how the Indian, they revolted against the Britishers, the same way the people of America, they also revolted against it, because they have started using the strict restrictions, even they started collecting the taxes, and because of that the people of America, they started revolt against this. And that is why England declared war to suppress this colonies. Suppress means put an end. American colonies organized the army under the leadership of George Washington and finally won against England. So as England, they have declared the war against it to suppress, to put an end to this, and American people also, they organized the army under the leadership of George Washington and finally they won the war against England. Who won the war? America. So this event is known as American War of Independence. A new nation known as United States of America with a federal government, written constitutions and based on the principle of democracy was born. Now as we have seen the American War of Independence, along with this the very important which changed the world history, and that is called as the French Revolution. In the year 1789 AD, the people of France revolted against the uncontrolled and unjust monarchy and the feudalism and they established a republic. So the people of France, they revolted against what? Unjust and uncontrolled monarchy, feudalism, as feudalism is a generation, like a generation, after this king his son is going to become a king. Okay, that is called as a feudalism. So like this, the full family was ruling the country. And in the year 1789, the people of France, they revolted against it and they established a republic. And this event is known as the French Revolution. The French Revolution gave the world the three values: liberty, liberty means freedom; equality, that we all are equal; and the fraternity, fraternity means feeling of a brotherhood. Okay, so these three values were given by the French Revolution to the world. In world history, if you are going to see, among the political revolution, the American War of Independence and the French Revolution have a very great important place. So these two revolutions are very important in a world history. Now we are going to move to the next, that is called as a industrial revolution. Now we have studied about religion revolution, what are the changes happen in religion. Then we have also studied about the political, intellectual. Now we are going to study about industrial revolution, how the industrial revolution happened in Europe. In the latter period of 18th century, latter means after, there were many technological innovations in Europe. So, in the half of 18th century, the many technological innovations happened in Europe. There was production with the help of machines running on steam. So, they started taking the production with the help of machines, and machines were running on steam. The cottage industries were replaced by the big factories. Before that, the cottage industries were there, or household industries were there. So, that place was taken by the big factories. Machines came to be used instead of handlooms. Students, handlooms means a weaving machine. Okay, this was used to weave the cloth. So, the handloom was replaced by the machine. Railway and steamer become the mode of transportation. Okay, through the railways and the steamer that was used for the transport. The age of machines began, and that is known as the industrial revolution. Okay, so here we can say the age of machines because everything was replaced by the machine, and that is why we can say the age of machine was begun, and that is known as the industrial revolution. Industrial revolution began in England and then spread in other parts of the West. During this period, England enjoyed industrial prosperity. Prosperity means popularity, or they become very famous in industries and came to be described as world factory. So during this period, they enjoy the industrial popularity, or they become very famous in industries, and that is why they came to be known as they were described as a world factory. So this is all about the industrial revolution. Now next we are going to study, that is rise of capitalism. With the discovery of new sea routes began a new era of trade between Europe and Asia. Okay, first they were using the land route, but because of the Ottoman Turk, as he conquered the Constantinople, that route was blocked by them, and because of that there was a need to find out the sea route. As they have discovered the new sea route to Asia, and it began a new era of trade between Europe and Asia. Many traders came forward to trade with Eastern countries through the sea routes. So many traders means Vapari or the merchants, they came front to trade with the Asian or Eastern countries. It was not easy to carry out trade single-handedly, and hence many traders came together and started trade. Okay, so it was not possible the one person who will come and he will carry out the trade. For that, many traders they came together and they started the trade. Thus there was rise of many trading companies, and because of that it leads to the rise of many trading companies. Trade with Oriental countries was very profitable. Oriental means Asian countries, and responsible for economic prosperity. So they started doing trade with the Asian countries, which become very profitable to them and responsible for the economic prosperity in Europe, and that is why economic development happened, or the growth happened in Europe. Hence European rulers started giving military protection and trade concession to these trading companies, and because of that, because of these trading companies, the economic development or economic growth was happening in Europe, and that is why the European rulers they started giving military protections and also trade concession to these trading companies. This led to the accumulation of wealth in Europe. Accumulation means collection. Okay, collection we can say, and because of this there was a growth of wealth in Europe. This property was used in the form of capital for trade and commerce, which led to rise of capitalist economic system in India. So In a simple word, they have told us because of the discovery of new sea routes, uh, it started the trade relation between the Europe and Asia, and they when started trading with the Oriental or the Asian countries, that become very profitable, and also it responsible for the economic development in Europe. And that is why European rulers, they started giving military protection, even the trade concession to these trading companies. Okay, and because of that there was an accumulation of wealth in Europe. Okay, and this property was used in the form of capital for the trade and commerce, which led to the rise of capitalist economic system in Europe. So student, here we are going to stop. Whatever the remaining part is there, that we are going to continue in the next lecture. Thank you students.